Hey, Mo,
Hey, Ricky.
the doctor is in.
Yes, we are. And if you haven't noticed by the swanky backdrops that everybody has today, it's all about the girls. I love it.
It's all about the girls. It's all about the girls. So Mo's going to put up her background too. Yesterday, we launched our new movement, our new campaign for the love of my girls.
Right here.
Right here. These guys.
Yeah.
Love it.
And we are on here today with Haley, who this has been her baby for really the last 6 months, working on this, nurturing it, writing copy, making stuff, like making it beautiful. There you go, Mo.
There we go.
And Christine's been right there by her side, helping everything. And, we gotta give credit to our Emily, because Emily just writes. She's just a badass writer, man. And she wrote every word, labored over every word. All of them, the three of them, labored over every word, every picture, everything we did to make this happen. And it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. I can't wait to tell you about it. And then we have 3 of our amazing, brilliant, beautiful HBCU interns, right? We have Chelsea, Chelsea you met before. We have Ayana and we have Ebony. And last night, Ayana spent the night with us. I'm at this conference and she came and hung out with me and danced all night with me. We went shoe shopping and we had a great time, and it was great to hang out with her. And I'm in Charleston today. I've been in Charleston this week. So you guys, how should we start, Haley? This is your show, girl.
Yeah, so I'd love to just tell everybody all about the campaign, show a cute video, and then we can kind of just talk about all the various calls to action of the campaign and see where we are. So again, I'm Haley Brown, the Director of Programs and Partnerships for Touch, the Black Breast Cancer Alliance. I am very happy to be here with you all today to kind of talk about the campaign. So this campaign is all about equipping, educating, and empowering young Black women to really what we call being the CEOs of their own health. For this campaign, we're calling it being a girl boss, because it just goes with the whole theme of it all. And so to be a girl boss, you need to make sure you understand that Black breast health is different, right? It's different for many different reasons, but it's because Black breast cancer is different. It's affecting Black women differently. We just have ridiculous statistics. We are 41%, have a 41% higher mortality rate, 39% higher recurrence rate than white women. And this campaign is focused on this stat that Black women under 35 are getting breast cancer at 2 times the rate and dying at 3 times the rate. And so we were like, how do we bridge this gap? Because mammogram guidelines are still at 40. And so this campaign is designed to really bridge the gap so that young women can start taking action now. And so we want them to, again, understand Black breast health. We want them to understand or start unlocking their her story. We want them to talk with their families about their shared health history. If you know more about what's going on in your family, then you're going to know how to best take those preventative steps now. And we designed a really, really cool worksheet to make that easy peasy for everybody. And then again, doctors like Dr. Mo checked out this document as well and made it so that you can actually take this document to your doctor and help be an advocate and be more informed in that conversation. And then our last call to action is all about checking your girls. We know that for I think it's about 80% of abnormalities are found by people checking their own girls. And so we want to make sure that the young Black woman knows how and when to do that. So through all of our programming, you're going to find out this information and you're going to feel more informed. And I think that there's something for everybody in this campaign, which is really, really cool. As you can tell by the creative, it's like 70s fun, makes you want to go grab some roller skates, which we are going roller skating in Houston this Friday. So if you're in the Houston area, come out. But we had a skating event this past Friday as well. And it was so much fun. And we're really targeting the 18 to 35-year-old because in that age range, you could be a mom at either end of that spectrum. You could be a student at either end of that spectrum. And we wanted to make sure that we provided information for all various life stages. And that age group also is going to be talking to people younger than them and older than them. Both, it's going to hit 3 generations just by hitting one. And so it's going to be great. So I'm going to take you to the website real quick, guys. You can check it out. Oh, wait, I want to make sure I share my sound. So here's the landing page. It is on the Touch website under the Young Women's tab. And at the very top of it, here is a video. This video, I was really excited to do these voiceovers with 2 of our past interns, Sydney Perro and Deja Florencois. And they did this with me. So I think we should watch this real quick and then see how we feel and what we want to talk about. Girl, for the love of my girls.
Black women under 35 get breast cancer at 2 times the rate of white women.
And die at 3 times the rate.
It's up to us to take care of our girls.
The only solution is conversation.
I choose Black breast health because protecting my girls means protecting all Black girls.
I unlock my her story by talking with my family about our shared health history to know my personal risk.
I get to know my girls as an act of self-care. Are you ready to get in touch with your girls? Visit
loveofmygirls.org to get in touch with your girls.
So good.
I know, it's so good. I'm obsessed.
Nailed it. I love it. Wow.
I know, Dr. Mel, what do you think?
I think it's fun. I think it's funky. I think it feels safe and inviting, and it doesn't feel as scary as the word cancer can sometimes feel. It doesn't have that heavy feeling that comes with that diagnosis, because we all kind of know somebody who's had cancer, and we know either firsthand being loved ones, or we know from seeing them in our churches and communities. Like, it can be a big deal. And I think that this feels like getting to know and like something you want to be a part of. So I absolutely love it. I love it. I want to hear from Ebony and Chelsea and Liana. I want to hear your why. Like, why are you in this? Why this? Why now?
I guess I'll go first. Hi, I'm Ayana. And my why really is because my grandmother, she had breast cancer a few years back. She is now a survivor, but cancer runs pretty common in my family. I wouldn't say like generation after generation, but it's like kind of skips a generation or 2 generations, but it's still it's in my family. So me personally, I would want myself and my kid and her generation and the generations after that, I would want to be that rolling stone for them, not to like have to just wait for them to get mammograms down the line, like whenever the doctors tell them they're too young. Like, you have to demand and you have to learn your own body, so that way you can be able to early detect yourself, so that you will know the necessary precautions you'll have to take, because cancer cannot be prevented, but it can be early detected. So that's my why of why I am in this.
Hi, Ebony Walker. My why is because I'm interested in health disparities, more specifically Black and Brown communities. But then I'm also interested in clinical research, and there is a lack of representation within the Black community in clinical trials. And then that also falls into like the message of Touch and For the Love of My Girls. There's a disproportionate effect on Black women in terms of breast cancer, and then even going into like clinical trials and things like that. And me, myself, personally, I'm learning a lot from the various campaigns. So while I'm learning, it's also important to spread the message to young and older women.
Hello, I am Chelsea McGee, and one of the reasons why I'm a part of Touch, this is my second semester, and I joined Touch because previously, my previous internship, I had a health disparities internship, and I'm also very into research, like Ebony said, and this internship is like the best of both worlds. And I will be going skating on Friday. I just love how everyone's very concerned and very caring in this internship. It's just one thing to say, oh, it's health disparities, but it's one thing to actually do something about it and create a family and actually have a support system, because a lot of Black women do not have support systems when we go through these type of cancers. And it's not only breast cancer, but it's also like uterine cancer and cervical cancer. So it affects us every day. And I live in Third Ward, so I get to see those effects every day as well.
So if it's hard for us to have community with these cancers, why do you think that is? When we seem to, everybody knows somebody who's had cancer. Like, how come we're not having these conversations? And what do you think is happening at that level that made this campaign necessary?
I feel like a main reason why a lot of people aren't talking about it because they're scared. I feel like it's the fear in them, not only that they heard the word cancer, but also that they wouldn't know how like their family and friends will react to them having cancer, and they wouldn't know like the necessary support, or they wouldn't feel as comfortable telling their family and friends that they have cancer. So I feel like this program actually brings comfort and let other women, especially Black women, know, being that we are already put on the back burner by so many people. So I feel like this program brings comfort and let us know that we're not alone. Like, this is not the end of the world. Cancer is not really cancer, if you get what I'm saying. So
I was talking to somebody and it was really interesting because they were like, why would I feel bad about something that I didn't give to myself? I didn't do this to myself, right? So why do I feel, and there are certain other cases, right? But like, it's like, why do I feel bad about sharing something that like, I didn't do this to myself. This is something that has happened. And so I can't have this weird guilt around sharing this information. So I think that's an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I would also
Go ahead,
say
Christine.
that when you think about like who we are as a Black community, a lot of us go to churches, right? And like Black churches, you often hear, I'm gonna give it to God. We're gonna pray about it and give it to God, right? And so then that becomes, I'm pushing it under the rug. And just like Ayanna said, it's a fear-based mindset, but it's also a mindset of like a lack of trust in oneself, a lack of trust in God, right? A lack of trust in your people and in your community, because you don't want to share that information because you're saying, I'm giving it to God, not realizing that God is amongst the people, right? He's here with everyone. And so when we are able to share with everyone, we are then, bringing awareness to it, also helping people see like, oh, maybe I need to go get checked out, right? And that's why I'm so excited to be alongside Haley and Emily, during this For the Love of My Girls campaign, because being a woman, like in the 18 to 35-year-old range, I went to the doctor. She was like, girl, there's nothing wrong with you. It's just tissue. Or the next time I went, it's nothing wrong with you. You just got really dense breasts. And then I remember hearing, I didn't know what that was. I remember hearing Dr. Mo say, it's like clouds in the sky. And I was like, oh my God, like,
I love it. So let me ask you about that though, because one of the reasons that the medical community, and I'm not saying this is right, but one of the reasons they've gotten away from recommending the self-breast exam and the clinical breast exam is because they're saying people are feeling stuff and it's scaring them and they don't know what to do, and it's causing unnecessary imaging, unnecessary biopsies, and unnecessary worry. How do we speak to that?
Listen, you need to check your girls, right? And not just to check to see if you have something, but check to get to know your boobs. Like, you need to know what your boobs feel like on a normal day, right? And also, if you got a partner, your partner should also, feel what that feels like on a normal day, right? See like, okay, something's off, or maybe, this is just how you normally feel, but get to know yourself, not just for a scare around cancer, a scare around a tumor, a scare around anything, but get to know, like our campaign, get to know your girls for what they are, right?
I think too, it's like that concept and that mindset of like a clinical self-exam or all that language. I think it's screaming, I'm looking for an abnormality. And this campaign is about, like Christine said, like getting to know your girls. This is not because you're looking for an abnormality. This is a routine that you just do the week after your period because it's just like a part of your life, and you don't have to be searching for something crazy. You're just searching to like make sure you know what's good. So I think that and that's partially why the campaign is fun and inviting and safe, right? Because we want people to feel that when they interact with this campaign, that this is a safe thing to do. It is not because no one's trying to scare you to say, hey, look for this. It's like, no, like do it because it's fun, it's easy, and they're literally right in front of you. You should do it all the time.
I know, think about it too. We want it to be like self-care, like you're doing your hair, you're doing your nails, you're shaving your legs, you're doing you're doing your eyebrows, whatever, you're putting your lashes on, whatever you're doing, right? So why can't it be one of those things? I don't have lashes on, that, but really, or makeup. But anyway, like make it a thing, like every time you get your nails done, check your breasts. So make it part of your whole routine as a girl, right? As something we all do,
I'm still stuck on, they're literally right in front of you. I think you should put that on a poster or a t-shirt or something. They're literally right.
That's a Facebook post. That's an Instagram post.
I think we should do that, guys.
I'll make it down.
HB. Dash HB. Yep, I'm gonna quote that one.
We can put a picture of Haley and say, mine are literally right in front of me.
Well, I was thinking the other day too, and sorry, Black Doctor, this is personal, but like I remember taking my birth control every day. And I thought, why am I not taking my vitamins every day the same way I should take? It's like these things I'm already doing, right? And it's like I already have like things that I do every month. Why couldn't I add this to the list? It's not that hard, So.
Yeah, and you know what? I've been with this conference all week with a bunch of very, very cool Black entrepreneurs, 100 Black women, and a lot of them are young, definitely under 40, in their 30s. And I started asking them, do you check your breasts?
And what have they been saying? And what's the response been?
I don't think about it. It's not on my list. I'm really busy. I'm not really, I don't think about it. And when I told them my story, they're like, oh my God, I got to check my breasts. And so, we don't want to scare people into it and say, it's about cancer. We want you to do it because it's something you should just do as a girl, as a woman, as this having this body part, right? But it shouldn't be something that's not on your list. It should be on your list. We want to put it at the top of your list, right? Mm-hmm. And we cannot prevent breast cancer, but we can early detect it. And that's all we've got. And we're only going to do it by checking them out and knowing her story. And, that goes to another call to action. I think our lovely girls here, I'm using the word girls, put together this really, really cool talking point thing that you can go and use to talk to your mom and your grandma and your auntie on both sides, please, not just your mom's side, but your dad's side too. Haley, talk about that a little bit because it's really a cool thing.
Yeah, so it's basically a worksheet because again, we wanted to make something actionable, right? You can literally do this tomorrow kind of thing. And you can also find it online, so you can download it from the website if you are virtual, but it's in, an interactive way to kind of have this, help you have this taboo conversation. It shouldn't be taboo, but we know that Black families just don't talk about health in the way that they should. So here's a layout of how you can do that. And the worksheet's also really nice too, because you're not just going to find out information about Black breast health and Black breast cancer. It actually goes into some other, common Black diseases and ailments that could affect you or your family. And so because it's all encompassing in that way, it's really just useful information. And again, if there are terms on there that you also find that you don't know, we want people to ask and interact so we know what the young Black woman needs so it can inform the campaign and how we pivot. So please, anyone watching, like, go to the website, check out the worksheets and give us feedback, because we want to make sure these are things that you can use and take to your doctor, and then feel empowered to, like, I already know these things at my family, and because your doctor's probably going to ask you, and you're going to say, I don't, you might know, you might not. And it's just gonna, I'm also slightly anal, and when I do a worksheet, I taught kids for 8 years. So when I do a worksheet, I have to fill in every answer. And so for me, I feel like it's good because there are certain things on there that I would probably not even think about. And because while doing the worksheet, because I've sat down and like done it based on my own knowledge, and was like, oh, like this is something that I would have probably not even thought about until I sat down and did this. And now being anal, have to fill in this box. So I must call my family and figure it out, And so hopefully it makes everyone just like start the process. And like the video said, we do believe the only solution is conversation. That's why we're all here today. So I think we need to get people talking, and this is a good tool to do that.
Yeah. So we have a comment from Erica Lynn. I think that's how you say your name, Erica. She said she was sent away by her doctor and then came back and she was stage 3. And now she's an 8-year survivor. Thank you, God, you're still here and you're healthy, Erica. Blessings to you. But that's what happens. That's what happens. We go as young women. They won't give you a mammogram. They won't check you out. They tell you to go away. And you do, because what do you know about it, right? So what we're trying to say here is don't go away. If the doctor won't give you a mammogram, a 3D mammogram, get another doctor. Go someplace else to get it, because you got to get it. You can't be.
Or at least an ultrasound, right?
Yeah.
Because the principles of mammography work on breast density. And so if you're 25 and your breasts are very, very dense, it's going to look like a snow globe. It's going to look like a snow cone, and it can be hard to see. And so in those instances, at least an ultrasound, and then going from there, MRIs. Like, we have so many tools available to us that, I tell patients, if that happens, or if you go to a doctor and like, oh, it's just this, is there a way that we can be sure? I mean, last I checked, I didn't have x-ray glasses, right? And so if somebody's not doing any imaging, they're not looking at all to work that up, that's an incomplete visit. And I think that's really important for people to know. Well, when is a mammogram right for me? What type of imaging is right for me? I want to circle back to her story, because I want to ask Ebony and Chelsea and Ayana, how did you talk to your families about these things? Because before you became interns, was this like on your radar as far as knowing your family history and all? Because I know for a lot of people watching, they might know a little bit of, what they heard in their family, but how did you really have this conversation with your families, and how did that all roll out in y'all traditional Black families? I need to know.
Mhm.
Well, me personally, I haven't had the conversation yet. I've thought about how I'm going to bring it up. Like, it's not necessarily that like within my family we don't talk about health, but I only pick up what I hear in passing. So like, even when I go to the doctor or whatever provider, eye doctor, etc., and they ask me about my family history, I'm like, well, I think this, I think that, but I'm not 100% sure, like which family members. So it definitely is a conversation that I need to have with my mom, my grandma, on both sides.
Right.
Me personally, like Ebony said, it's not a topic that's brought up. I don't really know much about my dad's side of side history, but my mother's side, I only knew about my grandmother having breast cancer is because when I was telling her about my internship and I told her what I was doing, she said that she had breast cancer. I was like, you had breast cancer? And it was like years ago. So I was like, and the only thing that I knew that she did have was lung cancer, and she survived that as well. But when she told me she had breast cancer, I was like, you had breast cancer? I did not know that. So yeah,
Wow.
that's not really a topic that's really brought up. And if so, like Ebony said, it's just what I hear. Like they don't really sit us down and let us know, like, okay, this family member has this, like your auntie has this, your mother has this. They don't really break it down to us. It's just if something's wrong with them, that's how we'll find out if it gets to a severe point. And if it's not, even if it's minor, they still don't let us know because they don't want us to worry or stress about them. So
Wow.
yeah, brought up.
Your family's very typical, right? I think both you guys are like, kind of examples of what we're talking about. Waiting, like we just don't talk about it. And that's the problem, or that's what we're trying to address here, to get you to talk about it. So hopefully this tool will help you, and like, let us know, Ebony, when you have your conversation, let us know how it worked for you and what could have been, what we could do differently to help you do it. But we all have to sort of navigate this conversation, and the older women aren't going to do this. That's why we're counting on you. And we've learned from our other interns that we've had over the last few years that it's often the first conversation you have with your mom, and it's scary, but that's what you guys, this is your job, you guys. You have to be the superhero angels into your family, the super heroes, to go force these conversations with your moms and your grandmas and your aunties, because you can save your life. You can even save their lives. You can, you have a big job here, but that's what we're counting on you for. And that's what we want all young women to do,
Okay, so not saying that my family wouldn't tell me about their family history, but say as if it's a female around my age and she does ask her family about their family history, but they don't tell her. How would you like suggest she go about that?
I think that's a really good question, by the way, guys. I sent you all worksheets in the mail, so you have one coming to you for you. And Dr. Mo, I need your address too, so I can get you a t-shirt and some fun stuff. But I think that's a really good question. I think that we should, as a team, like think about, Ricky, think about what we're gonna do to support people who still feel, fearful, timid about the realities of health, right? And I think that, again, I hope that your friend and anyone else who feels like there's like a roadblock there can go to our website and see how inviting it is, and hopefully kind of feel a little bit differently. And I think the language that we use in these conversations is also super important, because if you it's different when you say, like, have we had cancer in our family versus like, let's talk about our family health, right? And so I think that if we can kind of change the language and make it seem like it's less accusatory and more just like a normal conversation. And then I think frequency of how often we have these conversations would also change how we feel while we're having them. So those are two things that I would suggest, but I'm actually going to think more about this, because I think that there should be maybe a resource here for people like I took the worksheet to my mom, and it's still like, and she was like, I ain't talking to you, so like maybe there's a space for us to do some work there, so we can think about it. Chelsea, I feel like you had something to say though.
I was just gonna piggyback off the question where y'all talking about, like, do you talk about family health with your family? And I feel like for me, I actually do talk about health with my family, not necessarily breast cancer, because I don't know anyone in my family that really had breast cancer, but like I know that diabetes does kind of run in my family, and like we talk about like, not drinking so many sodas, or like cutting back on desserts, not eating out as much. And to also piggyback off, like, not sounding accusatory and rather just changing the language, I feel like I could definitely listen to that advice, because I feel like when we talk about health, because my dad does have diabetes, I feel like we can really talk about it in an accusatory way, like, what's wrong with you because you keep doing this, and this, and why would you why would you do this knowing it's gonna make you sick and this and that? But like now that you said that, now I feel like I could like change the language and be more encouraging rather than accusatory.
Yeah.
I love that. Go ahead, Christine.
I would say that the language piece and the repetition of conversation definitely is true. It's a way to get conversation started. My fiance, his mom had breast cancer, and she had a reoccurrence 2 years after when she got it. And I knew my fiance for years, like since I was a kid, never once knew that his mom had breast cancer until I started working at Touch. But it didn't come up because I was like, oh, talking about breast cancer. It was just like, oh, wait, babe, like we were talking about health and all these different things. And I was like, oh, wait, babe, like tell me about your side of the family. And then he just blurted out like, oh, yeah, well, my mom had breast cancer. And you work at a breast cancer org. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't know this, right? But it's just a matter of how you're having these conversations is really important. And even to this day, like talking to my grandmother, like just repetition of conversations all the time. Now she comes to me and is just like, oh, did you go see the doctor about this ailment? Did you get this? Did you get that? And I'm like, ma'am, like we're Jamaican family, so we definitely don't talk about health. And so to hear her having these conversations all the time, I'm like, girl, to the point, I'm like, all right, grandma, I heard you. Like, I'm gonna check it out, right? But again, it's the repetition of conversations in the language that we're using. Like, not once am I around the house using, but like the C word is a stigma, right? But I am using it in a way where it's not relatable, but it's a call to action, but it is normalized in a sense where it's not scary in the household, where they're like, oh, yeah, no, I did go get my breast checked for my grandfather. Yeah, I did go get a colonoscopy. Same for my grandmother, right? And so they're having these conversations amongst each other where now it's normal. So they're talking to their friends about it, and they're talking to their kids about it, right? But I will also say another tool would be to start talking to kids, right? Kids are also very capable of having these conversations. And it doesn't need to be like, oh, do you know about cancer? Do you know about X, Y, and Z? It's like, oh, you said the other day that your head was hurting. Let's talk about why your head was hurting, right? So including them in certain conversations. And then you'll start to see that they're the ones leading the conversations at the dinner table. They're the ones that's like asking grandma, like, hey, we talked yesterday about so-and-so. Did you go to the doctor? Did you do X, Y, and Z? And so I truly do believe that, kids, they are the future. Involve them in those conversations and they will hold you accountable like nobody else.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
For the interns, you go to medical school and everybody will be showing you every rash, every condition. There will be no shortage of people wanting to show you and tell you everything that's going on. So, representation matters. So do consider these careers in healthcare, because when people know they got a nurse in the family, guess what? They start opening up about it, But I think also tapping into the narratives of strength, right? Especially for family members who are very spiritual, for our grandmothers, great grandmothers, things like that. And really talking about the times and the ways that God brought you through, and talking about, what your family's been through as a sign of strength and resilience. Right. And your medical history, your health history is part of that family history and that fabric of strength and of faith. And I think, kind of getting into that space even after church, God has been good to our family, talk about, some of the things that God brought. I know you've been through some things. You've been around a lot of years. You've seen some things. Tell me about those things that you've seen and the things that you've been through. And, I know family members have gotten sick, and can we just talk a little bit about those things? And sometimes you'll find that they'll open up about those things too, when you can go about it in a slightly different way.
Right. Just bring another angle there, to talk about it.
Because it is a marker of strength, right? This family history, this resilience. I mean, we were brought here, and the first doctors we saw in this nation were on slave ships to keep us alive long enough to sell at the block, right? Like this, our experience with healthcare from our arrival on this land was not a positive one. And so there is a natural and, sort of innate mistrust and earned mistrust. And so, we didn't always understand our health or what was going on or have control over our own bodies to even seek the help that we needed. So it's natural for us to feel that way, but it also speaks to the amount of resilience that we have to be able to say, I went to a Black nurse practitioner today, and it made me feel really good. And they asked me these questions. And now I got to ask you, because we got to make sure that, that our community, that our family, stays healthy. And so I think kind of looking at it from the strength angle also helps with our belief about ourselves and our resilience as a people.
I know, Dr. Ray, you're making me think like a lot of the reason why we're dismissed as doctors is because people think we're strong. And it's like, how strong am I? How fun it seems really fun to rewrite that understanding of strength by saying, I'm walking in knowing my family history. Like that is strength, And I think that that's a really one way. It's like, you're right, I am strong. And that's why I'm going to advocate for myself here today. And by the way,
I love that, defining what strength looks like for us, right? It doesn't look like keeping it to yourself and shouldering it all by yourself. It looks like sharing it and opening up about it. Ooh, that's right? Some good stuff.
Right?
That's another meme. Yeah, that's another meme for Instagram, Haley.
I know. Should I be taking notes?
Yeah, no, I'm taking.
I'm still stuck on it's right in front of your face.
You're still stuck. The other thing, think about it too. Think about the things that you do ask your mother about, right? Like, Haley, how do you make an apple pie? How do you fry chicken? How do you, what do you do about a headache? Like the things that you do ask your mom about, it's the same thing. It's like if what are you going to take away or what are you going to miss when your mom isn't here to ask those questions? So, you're asking her how to do stuff. Like, when you have kids, it's like, okay, what do I do with this baby crying? Or, like, how do you, shop for Christmas or budget or whatever. So it's the same kind of thing. Like it's just a conversation with your mom that you would have about anything you want to know from her, right?
Yeah, and I would say don't let them don't be dismissed, right? Don't take the dismissive reaction as a like, oh my gosh, they don't want to talk about it. It is come from, like Dr. Mo said, it does come from a place of like mistrust around healthcare, especially for Black women, Black people in general, right? And so in those moments, don't push them to a point where they're starting to feel defensive, but reassure them like you are there as a listening ear. You're there to, give them some resources because now you do have the resources, right? You are just there and you're also there to learn, and that will open doors because you don't want to take that dismissive that, oh, I'm not talking to you about it as like, well, my family just don't want to tell me about it. No, keep pushing, right? And understanding comes from a place of fear, mistrust, right? Or a lack of understanding. So provide them with the understanding now that you do know, right? Give them the resources.
That brings up a good question, Christine, because, I want to know, what does your generation know about earned medical mistrust, and what is your impression of the healthcare system? Like, is it historical or is it current day? Because I know my grandfather was from South Carolina, and he grew up, knowing you don't go to the colored hospital because that's where you go to die, because they don't have enough resources and enough doctors, but you can't go to the white hospital because they will let you die. And so you didn't go to doctors, and his family members lived in Alabama and Tuskegee. And so I grew up hearing second and third hand, but I'm curious to know what Gen Z, right? Gen Z? I want to know what Gen Z knows about medical mistrust and what's being passed down to your families.
Well, I feel like as a STEM major, we talk about medical mistrust all the time. Like Henrietta Lacks, we know about HeLa cells, and everyone knows about Tuskegee. But like we also know about how we have higher mortality rates for breast cancer, giving birth. We hear lots of stories now that we have social media. People can just post their story and it can go viral. And a lot of Black women are dying giving birth. A lot of Black women are getting breast cancer. And we tell these doctors, oh, we're in pain, or, oh, this hurts. And then like doctors will think, oh, Black people have stronger bones, or, oh, they're just saying that like they're Black, they can take more things, like they can take more pain, they're tougher. and things like that. And then also it's just like different economic, like socioeconomic factors, like we don't even, some of us don't even have the transportation to go to doctors, or if we do go to doctors, it's very hard to get in because we have to work so many hours just to even pay for the doctor visit. And we work so hard because we have to work harder. When white people, they get to just work a regular job and they get to take off and they get to get in their car and go to the doctor. It's just different steps that we have to take to even get healthcare, to even go to the doctor, that a lot of people don't even talk about. So
They take for granted, right?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. I will also say it's very common and current today, like this mistrust, because I have a friend who literally has endometriosis and has suffered with extreme period cramps for sorry if this personal, extreme cramps for years. And I mean years. And she will go to the doctor. People will look at her like, oh, you're just being dramatic. And I was one of those people like, oh, girl, you're just being dramatic, toughen up. Come to find out, literally this past year, she went to another doctor, probably her 8th doctor. And they told her ma'am, you have endometriosis. There's literally, we need to do surgery to remove all these things. After almost 5 years of going through extreme pain, Black woman, and she's been to the doctor and they've dismissed it multiple times, right? And so these are things that are current, just like Chelsea said, you see on social media all the time of doctors dismissing Black patients, being like, oh, you're fine, take this medicine, take Tylenol, take Advil, you're fine, right? And then to think that's another thing where you're telling us to take these medicines that 9 times out of 10 might not work fully for our bodies, but you're dismissing us so much, right?
Dr. Mo, I'm actually, well, let me correct. I am a millennial. Okay. We're
right.
not can't bucket me with the chance. I'm not ready for that. But I will look at, I proved that by my lack of my inability to use social media. But I'm trying to think of why haven't I, when I need to go to the doctor, why didn't I go? And I was I think at one point there was a time where I was living a more hippie lifestyle. And I think I was exploring more natural remedies at the time, right? And so it's I'm going to choose that because I grew up in a house where my mom, my mom would say, oh, take this Advil or whatever. And it's I'm at that point of figuring out my own health. It was what do I not know? And it was about natural remedies. I had no idea. So it was trying to solve things on my own, which now sounds really silly. And then I also think going to the doctor has been has been an inconvenience. I was a teacher for 8 years and I didn't feel like I had a job that allowed me the time to do so. And so I think, and again, I'm thinking wow, I need to support these women in these circumstances who either think they could do some natural remedies and that's enough, which sometimes it could be, but that's not the end all be all. And then women who just even my young 20s, when I have no one else to go home to, I still didn't leave work. And why? It's because I wanted to be successful and do things on my own. And so I think this independence piece also impeded me from taking the best care of my health.
Somebody in the chat said Robitussin. I know that's right. Robitussin and castor oil was the 2 remedies my family used. But I think you're right, Christine and Haley. And I wonder if COVID made things better or made things worse, because I feel the medical community already was a little bit, the rep was already like this. And then when COVID, it was wear a mask, not wear a mask, make a stocking out of it, take some bleach, hydroxychloroquine. It was like this, right? And I feel like COVID might not have made things better in terms of trusting the medical community, and the Gen Zers and beyond have a different reason for not trusting, but still the same thing. They're still seeking, holistic medicine and still kind of I don't know how I feel about those doctors. So really interesting topics to explore together for sure.
Yeah, and I think I guess it also from your upbringing, I probably took Haley to the doctor all the time, but we had great health insurance and, she got her annual checkups and did that. But a lot of people don't grow up with that kind of care in your frame of reference. And so if you don't grow up with it, then you're not going to practice it, because how would you, that's not your normal. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Or like we just go to the doctor because something's wrong, right? And not because it's my
It's a
really thing to do.
checkup.
And like, or because you have to go get this checkup because you for the basketball team, right?
Right.
Or something, right? And it's like there are 12 other months of the year where you can just go to make sure everything's working,
Or to get the camp physical, right? Or
Yeah.
the band or the football physical if you're sports physical, right? If you're playing a sport. So I don't know. I still think there's bias though that we should probably, that's something we could actually do a survey about, you guys. Haley and Christine about, what's your perception of doctors and health overall? That's something we probably could ask and maybe add to our survey. What do you think about you? Do you miss?
I'll actually add it to the next survey. So the start of this campaign, for those of you that don't know, we started a Young Women's Advisory Board, and they've helped us really come up with a lot of the creative and making it inviting and actually age appropriate for our target demographic. And so I actually started with their next survey today. So I'm gonna throw that in there.
Yeah, and just get a feel for how people feel. Like what do you think in terms? Do you think you grew up going to the doctor? Is it part of your routine? And I would love to you think understand what you think too, because she is a baby. So I think a lot of young women, they start going to the doctor because they have babies, right? Did that having a baby change how you think about doctors?
Wow. That's a good point, Ricky. Yeah.
Honestly, in my household, we basically lived at the doctor. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, we lived at the doctor. And I wouldn't say because everything like was severe, like it was always a problem, but as soon as we had like a slight headache or we felt some type of joint pain or anything of that sort, my mom was going to take us to the doctor because she wanted to know like why is this happening. And even though like some doctors did dismiss us, I cannot lie, I give my mom her props, her flowers right now, because she was gonna make sure her child was gonna be seen. She would drive to Charleston, Columbia, from Orangeburg just to get us seen because she just had an instinct that she knew something wasn't right. And then when she did that, and even then, once we went to a doctor, something was wrong with me before, and the doctor could not figure out what it was. My mom actually did her own research, and she told the doctor about what she found, and he was like, yeah, this is really what's wrong. So they did the surgery and I was done. Like it was gone. So I can, yeah,
You
I
bring
can
up a
honestly
really
say,
good point.
yeah, I
Right?
can
What
honestly
about
say
the
my mom.
moms? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there a place for moms in this campaign?
Totally.
Yeah.
I think that moms, again, our age demographic, you can be a mom at any end of that. And we really would, I love the fact that moms are going to think about this now and share it with their kids and think about how they can share with both generations up and down. But Ayana, I think you raised a really good point about, you said your mom, she just like felt like something was up, right? And I think a lot of this is about trusting your instincts and knowing your body, because as a mom, you know your kids, you know what I mean? My mom knew when I was faking it and when I wasn't.
Oh yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
and I'm not gonna lie, I really liked orange triaminic, so I faked it often. And
get me with 7 minutes pediatrics.
Like, Mom, I need some of the orange medicine. Hey, you do not. Go do
My mother was queen of a hot toddy. She goes, "What's that? Is that a sneeze?" Next thing you know, a hot toddy, I'm out like a light. So
I know I did use Benadryl every now and then for long car rides.
Oh yeah, my mom loved Benadryl.
Yeah.
Benadryl or Tylenol, that's her go-to.
Yeah.
So is there a part of this campaign for if you find something, or let's say you have a scare and you have a biopsy, and let's say it all comes back benign, like, is there a trauma that's associated? Let's start there. Is there a trauma associated with finding stuff in your breast? And then once you have that, once you have that experience, how are you helping people to sort of get back on the wagon after that? Because I feel like it's a thing. It could happen. I'm not saying it's gonna, but it could happen. You get biopsied, it's a benign lump, but then you had to go through the through. So how to get back on the wagon?
I mean, I was waiting to see if anyone speak, but in terms of like what the campaign is going to, how the campaign is going to support women in that circumstance is this campaign is about preventative health, right? Preventative Black breast health. And so I knew going into this, and I think, and it is my job here at Touch, is to find partners that are doing that other work, right? And so we're partnering with the Young Survival Coalition. We're partnering with all these other orgs that, like the Breasties. We have so many different orgs that support young women in that circumstance that then this campaign will lead you to if you were to find something. So I think, again, we don't reinvent the wheel here, and we know that someone's doing that. So I want to make sure that I honor that partnership by passing those people along to the organizations that are doing that really, really well and supporting women in that moment. Yeah.
And I think, I mean, this campaign is for Black breast health, for people that don't have a cancer diagnosis, for people like these lovely ladies who probably wouldn't be thinking about cancer if they weren't doing this internship, for people that are just caught off guard by the even thought of that, oh my God, I could get cancer. This is about taking care of yourself and knowing your body, and also standing up for yourself, knowing your risks and talking about it. So I think that's why we're different. And, you know, we have so many amazing advocacy groups that are geared to help young women with cancer, with breast cancer, like YSC, Young Survival Coalition. I'm speaking at their conference in a couple of weeks with, you know, the Breasties. We love the Breasties in New Jersey. With Know Your Lemons. A lot of people are doing the work to help Black young women with breast cancer. This is not what that's about. We want to refer you. If you have a lump, then we're going to take you to Dr. Mo. We're going to send you to Dr. Mo. We're going to send you to the doctor. We're going to send you to a different thing. This is for people who are caught off guard when something happens, or aren't thinking about their bodies, and you know, think about getting your nails done. So think about this is part of that routine.
And we've found some really trusted partners, so that if a woman does go through our program and they do find something, we want to make sure they are in trusted hands moving forward. So we will do that.
We'll send them to Marissa For the Breast of Us. You know, we have some great partners that are really nurturing young women with breast cancer. This is about the women that it's not even on their radar screen.
Yes.
Radar screen. They're just living their best life, trying to do their thing, and like, okay, and we don't want them to get shocked if something does happen, and we definitely don't want them to get dismissed.
And
because this program,
I'm sorry, Ayana, go.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Oh no, please.
No, I was just saying, piggybacking off of Miss Ricky, like this program, Touch and Love My Girls. I'm in the classroom. I'm sorry, y'all. I keep fitting off. It's on the sensor.
You're fine.
You're fine.
But yeah, this program is really an eye opener because, like she said, it really was not on my radar at all. And to say that our intern coordinator over Touch, she actually was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer at a young age, like age that I once, like, I'm close, like 3 years, a 3-year age gap from when she first got it the first time. So when I heard that, I was like, I never knew, like, I mean, I probably knew, but I wasn't really thinking about it like that someone can get breast cancer at that young age, because I was always used to breast cancer being diagnosed to someone older in like their 30s or 40s and 50s and so on and so on. So yeah, this program was really an eye opener for me. So I'll be definitely exposing the information and spreading the word, because it's really informative for me as well. So.
Yeah, and to address your point, Dr. Mo, around the trauma piece, right? There is trauma that comes from it, but when you think about what trauma is, it's unknown fear, right? It's a fear from the unknown. And so because Love My Girls, the campaign is based off of preventative, going ahead of, getting in front of all of the ailments that might come with getting breast cancer within the Black community, right? So if you're already doing taking those precautions, you're doing the work, doing the self-care, you're ahead of the game. So less lessens the chance of you going through a traumatic effect, because now you're like, I'm fighting for my girls. I'm no longer afraid of what the result might be. It's no, I found something. So now I need to know, I want the actual health. I want to know what's going on with my body. And so I'm no longer afraid of the unknown.
I
Yeah,
love
and
that,
I've
Christine, you
early
know.
detected it. I've early detected it. You know, I found it before it did anything bad.
Well, and 80% roughly of breast biopsies are benign. And I think that it's going to be really important to talk to people after that biopsy and then
Right.
say, okay, you know what, I did find something and it was benign, but yeah, it scared the, you know, the ish out of me. And now I feel like these are the lessons I learned, or now I know what to look for. Now I'm under surveillance. I'm seeing a doctor once a year and getting that ultrasound, and kind of reassuring people after that initial event, like what happens if you do find something? You know, that's not a cancer. How do you not be afraid moving forward even? Because I think when we do check, we will find things. And we want to make sure that people feel empowered, not just to feel it, but to go through that process of a biopsy, of an ultrasound, of an MRI, or whatever those things are, because that's kind of part of what comes with screening. But it is absolutely empowering, and it's absolutely doable, and it's absolutely overcomable. And that part of it, you know, without the cancer diagnosis, even I find a lot of young women are like, I just don't feel, since I found that I don't do it anymore. And you have to sort of re-educate and double down on that. So I think that that's something to definitely think about, because if 80% of biopsies are benign, you're bound to have a lot of young women who find things that aren't cancer, and that is great news. And we can capitalize on, you know, exploring what that looks like too, right? We hear so many stories of Black breast cancer, that Black breast health stories should outweigh it. And I'm excited about that.
Yeah, that's super exciting.
So you know, Haley and Dr. Candace started a new show on Sunday, and we're going to keep talking about this every month. So Pink Table Talk will be on the fourth Sunday of every month. And we love our Dr. Candace. You know, she's 32, and she's right in the target with Haley at 30 and Christine. And so I actually just reached out to Erica Lynn. I just emailed me, girlfriend, because she has a lot to say in these comments. We need to get her on the show. So, because she's talking in the comments, Erica Lynn. So email us. But you know, we're going to keep talking about this every month, and we're going to keep talking about how we can make our young women more comfortable. So Ebony will feel good about going to talk to her mom and her grandma and her aunties, and that she can then take what she experienced and share it with her friends. So we're going to keep talking, and I think it's so important to have these conversations, and we're going to hit the road. You know, Haley's already started. She's going to Houston on Friday for another roller skating party. And we're glad that you can come, Chelsea, and hang out. And Ari's going to be with her hitting the road. Ari came up here for the Maryland party. We're going to hit the road and go where we go, where Black women live, work, play, pray, and slay, right? And try to get this word out like we did with When We Trial. And I hope these guys are going to live their best life, because they're going to do all the things that they want to do where their girls are and their friends are, because that's where our young women are. So we're going to be out there in the community talking this game, right? Haley, I think you should show the video one more time in case people were late for the show. It's so cool.
I am happy to.
One more time.
And I just wanted to like say thank you also to my mom and Dr. Mo for kind of setting the space and creating this web series, because I think it's a really great space for people to just come and talk about the realness behind Black breast cancer and Black breast health. And, you know, allowing us young women to kind of create this under your tutelage. So thank you guys for allowing us that space. But yes, I will happily bring back up the video.
Roll that beam footage. I think that this is what it's about, right? It's about making sure that the message is amplified, that we, you know, put that thing down, flip it, and reverse it, and package it up to a new generation, right? Like this is it's great to target our postmenopausal. It's great to target our premenopausal. Now we got to target these different generations and make sure that everybody is getting it. So I absolutely love it. Y'all are gonna be seeing, y'all gonna be sick of me supporting y'all because this is such amazing, amazing work. And let me know anything I can do to support you, Dr. Candace, the movement. Do some live Q&As, all the things. Roll that movie. This is it. Black women under 35 for the love of my girls. Here it is.
Go.
Girl,
Girl. Girl.
girl, for the love of my girls.
Black women under 35 get breast cancer at 2 times the rate of white women.
And die at 3 times the rate.
It's up to us to take care of our girls.
The only solution is conversation.
I choose Black breast health because protecting my girls
Means protecting all Black girls.
I unlock my her story by talking with my family about our shared health history to know my personal risk.
I get to know my girls as an act of self-care.
Are you ready to get in touch with your girls? Visit
loveofmygirls.org to get in touch with your girls.
Cool. I put the website in the comments. I put our Instagram. Follow us on Instagram. We're trying to build our audience. So follow us on Instagram. Love my girls. And Haley, I put your email address in the comments. So if you have any questions, you want to meet us on the road somewhere, you got some ideas for us to come out, want to do a roller skating party, email Haley and she will hook you up.
Let's do it.
Well, we know it's been relatable, we know it's reliable, and we know it's definitely real. The doctor is in every Wednesday night here on blackdoctor.org and every fourth Sunday on blackdoctor.org. You can sit down at the table. What table? The pink table. And enjoy the Pink Table Talk with Haley Brown and Dr. Candace Thompson. We love you guys. Our interns, Christine, you're looking fabulous. Ricky, as always. And we'll see you next week. The doctor's in.
Doctor's in, and we thank you, Black Doctor, for letting us.
Thank you, Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Ayana had a little phone problem, so she'll see you soon.
No problem.
All right.
That's it.
Breasty love. Breasty
That's
love.
it.
All right, breasty love.
Love you, Mom.
I'm
Love
putting
it.
up my fingers, but you all can't see me.
All good.
All right. Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Next week.